to take all these files here in the attachments folder and distributing them into folders by year, and then within year by month, and then day. And there are 60 gigabytes of these files to distribute it into various folders, such as January, February, March, April, May, and so on. So it's been running for a while now. It started at 1252 with 314,767 files. And then to check every once in a while, I will look in the lower left and you'll see the number of files remaining. For example, now it's 1443 and there are 37566 files left. So this will give me some benchmarks to determine about how long it takes to move these files. My estimate is that it's going to finish around 2:52, around 2 hours, to move 60 gigabytes of files. That would make 30 gigabytes per hour, and we can use that in the future. Okay. To speed up the process, so it doesn't have to display and count all these files, I minimize it, putting it away for a while, and then watch the CPU usage, which is pretty much maxed out. That 8 gigs and 8 gigs of RAM is almost all used up. So I'll check that again around 2:52. So that's in about 7 minutes. For your information, the program that's running, I called it folder year www or YYYY MMDD hour minutes minutes and then out to hundredths of a second, but using a random number. This is for conversion to Infoflo. So it initializes some variables, sets them equal to year, month, day, and so on. Then it writes the messages to the screen, which we can see in the upper right, letting us know that the program is running. And then it loops through with an if and else statement, moving the files into the folders that get created. So that's how it works. Then I just run it, right click, and then run with PowerShell. Okay, it's getting about to the 2 hour point, and let's see how many it's doing. So in the upper right, I'm going to activate that window again, which I've been closing so that it will not need to be updated. Okay, so it says in the lower left 28,214 items. So I'm going to put that in our log, 24174. So it's going to take over 2 hours for the 60 gigabytes of files to be distributed into various folders. Okay, so we'll check back in about 10 minutes. Okay, while we're waiting, let's do a little calculating. So it started at 314,767 files. After 2 hours, it was 28,000, down to a tenth of what it was. So that's 314,767 divided by 28174. About 11% of what it was in 2 hours. And it has accomplished 314,767 minus 28174 in 2 hours. That's 286,593 files in 2 hours, which is 128 minutes. So we're going to divide by 120. We're going to see it does 2,388 per minute, which is, I'm going to record that, 2388 per minute, and we'll divide that by 60 and we'll find it works. It accomplishes about 39.8 per second moving the files. So about 40 per second. So let's take a look in the lower left. We can see it moving. It's at 58. Does it go down about 40 per second? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that seems about right. Okay, here we are at the top of the hour at 3 p.m. 1500, and there are 24,400 still left to go. So it's doing about 2,400 per minute, so it should be finishing about 10 minutes. My estimated time is going to be about 15:10. So we'll check back. We'll minimize this to get maximum speed. So the Windows does not have to spend time displaying how many files there are left. It can just focus on, through PowerShell, moving the files. Okay, we're getting down to the 10,000 mark. 10,000 coming up in a few seconds. That's about 15, 14, and then it's going to be fast from there. So I was a little off. It's taking a little more than 10 minutes from the last point. Okay, it's down in the lower left. I see 9,911, 9,911. So going, it looks to be about 40 files per second are moving. Of these 60 gigabytes, the 314,000 files. Okay, so we'll check back in a few minutes, probably about 3 minutes. Okay, folks, it's down to the 4 digits, 3141. Now down to 3,147. Down to 100th of what it was. I'm going to mark that on the timeline. 3147 is at the 1518 point. And it's finishing up. So it's getting down to 2,854 now. And we'll watch the rest of this. Okay, I notice I can move this vertical scroll bar a lot more easily now. It used to move very slowly. Now it's responding quite rapidly. Down to a normal number of files that you would expect to find in a folder. Maybe a few hundred to a few thousand. Okay, getting down to the countdown. So the PowerShell script is working very well. You see in the lower left now it's clearly going down about 40 per second. Maybe even be speeding up. Let's see, 1960. Yeah, just went down 20 within a half a second. And it's working. The time to do this manually would just be, I wouldn't wish that on anybody, having to move all these files manually. And with a program done automatically and very accurately. So I've done a number of tests to make sure that it goes into the right folder, creates the proper folder pattern, year, month, day, then hour, minute, second, and then uses a random number for the last two, since it's the Windows does not record down to the 100th of a second when a file is saved. It does store down to the second. Okay, it just broke 1,000 at 3:20. Down to the final steps. Now it's in the 3 digits as far as items remaining to be moved. And we will see the last files being moved into their respective folders. It's getting down into 500s now. Still at 15:20 on the clock, 15:21. Okay, the last 300 going down. 50 a second. So it's going to be about 40 seconds. We'll finish. 100, it's down. Here they go. Watch them go. The last files. And I got the message. All files have been sorted. Now I don't see, maybe this just needs a refresh. It appears that files are there, but maybe they're not really. Oh, evidently these are files that could not get moved for some reason. They might have, let me see, they do have this kind of funny tilde character here. So, I'm not sure why these would not be moved. Some kind of temporary files. Okay. Well, the PowerShell script worked. Okay, the whole process for 60 gigabytes of files, 314,000, was 2 hours and 28 minutes. So there's one that's sitting there. Now this is a directory that I used to help do an SQL select of how many folders there were. So this one, for whatever reason, did not process, so I'm going to manually put that in. Let's see, at July 2nd, 2013. Let's open the 2013 folder. And it's on window. And we go down to, my God, I would never want to have to do this manually. The second, okay, then we pick the hour, minute, and day. It's 11:57. Is there such a folder already? No. So I'd make a folder. 11. You see the time. 11:57. Who knows the seconds? Actually, we got to find out the seconds. Properties. 58. No, modified. Oh, 15, 57, 15. So the folder should be 15. And then I'll just put a couple zeros. It would be random numbers. Making a folder and then putting the file into that folder. There we go. Nice. definitely easier to do it with programming. Thanks to PowerShell. Alright, let's take a look at the whole folder now. Okay, let's see how big it is. If with all that directory folder making, did that significantly increase the size of the entire attachments folder? Let's see.